There's a car in your city that looks exactly like what a Swedish family bought in 1996, smells faintly of old leather, and has a front-wheel drive 5-cylinder turbo engine that was engineered to make race car power with a reasonable number of modifications. You've probably driven past it in a parking lot and looked at your phone instead of looking at the car. The Volvo 850 T5 is one of the most undervalued sleeper platforms available at under $10,000. I want to talk about why and why it's been hiding in plain sight. The 850 T5 used Volvo's B5234T engine, a 2.3-liter inline 5-cylinder with a single turbocharger. Stock power was 222 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque. In a car that weighs around 3,200 pounds and looks like the last car anyone expects to be fast, that's a legitimate power-to-weight ratio. The T5, our variant, introduced in 1995 and limited to around 1,500 units for the US, made 240 horsepower and 250 pound-feet from the factory. These cars have become collector pieces and command a premium accordingly. But here's the thing. The regular T5 is the sleeper opportunity. Stock, it will pull away from most people's expectations. Tuned, it becomes genuinely impressive. The Volvo 5-cylinder turbo engine is one of those platforms where the factory was extremely conservative with the tune relative to the mechanical capability of the engine. The stock turbo is already moving meaningful air. Adding a front-mount intercooler, which addresses the heat soak issue that limits the stock setup, immediately makes the tune more effective. A Stage 1 tune with the existing turbo puts you around 260 to 280 wheel horsepower. Step up to an upgraded turbo, specifically the 16T or 18T variants that Volvo enthusiasts have been using for decades, and with proper supporting mods, you're at 300 to 320 wheel horsepower from a car that looks like your neighbor's commuter. The IPD Volvo community has this platform mapped exhaustively. The parts ecosystem is mature and surprisingly affordable. Why it's still cheap? Volvo's mainstream reputation is for safety, not performance. Most buyers don't know what the T5 badge means. The 5-cylinder sound is unusual. It doesn't have the 4-cylinder sewing machine note or the 6-cylinder's growl. It has its own character that's acquired taste. The fun fact that helps the car at car shows and traffic lights. Volvo ran the 850 T5, or as an estate wagon in the 1994 and 1995 British Touring Car Championship. A station wagon. In touring car racing. Against sedans. They won races. If you want a genuinely fast front-wheel drive car that nobody identifies as a performance vehicle on site, has a mature parts and tuning ecosystem, and can be purchased for under $8,000, the 850 T5 deserves serious consideration. The window for cheap entry is closing as the enthusiast community discovers it. Get in while it's still the car everyone drives past. The pre-purchase checklist for a Volvo 850 T5 is straightforward but important. The engine, coolant hoses, and cooling system are your first checks. These are 25 to 30-year-old cars, and rubber degrades with age regardless of mileage. Budget $300 to $600 for preventive cooling system refresh. Hoses, thermostat, and flush. The ETM, electronic throttle module, is a known failure point on 850s. It's a $200 to $400 part that controls throttle response, and when it fails, it usually fails suddenly and dramatically. An already replaced ETM is a positive sign. An original ETM with high mileage is a known maintenance item to budget. The turbo itself is generally robust, but check for oil consumption and blue smoke at startup on a cold start. These indicate worn turbo seals. A rebuilt or replacement turbo is $400 to $700 through established Volvo specialists. The IPD Volvo parts store has been supplying the community for decades and remains the go-to resource for quality Volvo-specific components. Finally, the transmission. The 850 T5 came with a 4-speed automatic or a 5-speed manual. The manual is the preferred choice for anyone planning to tune. The automatic, while functional, limits how much fun the platform can be. If you're specifically looking at a manual example, check for smooth engagement through all gears and verify there's no clutch slippage under load. A well-sorted Volvo 850 T5 with a knowledgeable previous owner is one of the most interesting budget platforms you can find in 2026. The community around these cars is enthusiastic, resourceful, and welcoming to new owners. Find a good one, do your maintenance, get a tune, and enjoy the look on people's faces when they realize what just pulled away from them. The mechanical checklist for a Volvo 850 T5 is manageable if you approach it systematically. Start with the cooling system, hoses, thermostat, and expansion tank. These are rubber and plastic components on a 25-plus-year-old car, and they degrade with age regardless of mileage. Budget $200 to $400 for a preventive cooling system refresh on any example you buy. The ETM, electronic throttle module, is the component most likely to strand you unexpectedly. A failed ETM presents as sudden throttle loss, often accompanied by a check engine light and rough idle. Replacement units are readily available and cost $150 to $300. If the car you're buying has a high-mileage original ETM, negotiate accordingly or budget for replacement. Check the turbo seals with a cold start. Blue smoke at startup that clears within a minute indicates oil migrating past worn turbo seals. This is a progressive failure. It won't destroy the engine immediately, but a rebuilt or replacement turbo is in your near future. Factor $500 to $800 into your offer. The 5-speed manual transmission is the correct choice for any performance-oriented build. The factory automatic limits the driving engagement and imposes a lower power ceiling. Manual examples are rarer and slightly more valuable, but significantly more rewarding. The IPD Volvo community remains one of the most knowledgeable and helpful in the enthusiast world. IPD has been selling Volvo-specific parts since 1963, and their catalog covers every performance and maintenance need on the 850 T5 platform. Before you buy, browse their catalog. It gives you a clear picture of what the car will cost to maintain and what the performance ceiling looks like. Find a good one, do the cooling system and ETM maintenance proactively, get a tune, and enjoy the platform. The window for cheap, clean 850 T5s is narrowing as the enthusiast community discovers them.